Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another average review. Christmas is getting closer by the hour, and so I've decided to give you all, and also myself, an early Christmas present by looking at the Marvel Legends No Way Home Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So let's swing into it. I've already reviewed this packaging with the Marvel Legends No Way Home Sandman, and to be fair, this packaging is more fitting with the three Spider-Men since, well, they're actually on the box art. We can see that Tobey is referred to as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which, yeah, I feel fits with him. Nothing wrong with the front, but like Sandman, it's better than Sandman, because just like the front, Tobey's actually there. But I mean, he's all the way in the background. He's not the focus of his own box. Which I think is, well, kind of stupid, honestly. And the bio ain't much better. If you gave this bio to any other Spider-Man, it would still work, which, I mean, yeah, most Spider-Man are pretty similar, but there's nothing specific to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like how some of the villains from his universe, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Sandman, are in this one, and he's fought them before. But, like I said with Sandman, who really cares about the box? Let's just rip the figure out and take a look at him. Alright, getting this guy out of the box, and there's a lot I like, but also some minor nitpicks I have. I'm gonna start out with what I like. The overall sculpt is amazing. I mean, this is pretty much just Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man costume brought to life. It's a bit hard to tell on camera, but the blue on his suit is textured, and the same with the red, and there's also, of course, the raised webbings painted silver, and for the most part, it's very clean on the body itself. The logo is actually black, which, yeah, it helps it stand out, but I don't know. I feel like it was a bit more, silvery in the movies. Not something I dislike, just like a minor nitpick, which is going to be most of my problems with this figure. Another thing I like, they have the white eye lenses from the later movies as opposed to the silver ones from the first movie. The web patterns, just like how they've been painted, they all look nice. Same with the back spider logo. I mean, it's been pretty well sculpted, although admittedly it does kind of get broken up when you bend the upper joint forward. But that's what happens with all Spidey figures with a diaphragm joint like this. A tiny detail that I really like is that this wall crawling hand he comes with does look like he's actually applying pressure to his fingers, which is pretty different from most of the Spider-Man wall crawling hands we get. So, for example, here's Renew Your Vows Spidey. He's just sort of resting his fingers. This one, it looks like he's actually putting pressure on him, which the only other Spider-Man figure I can think of that had a detail similar to that was the Sentinel Into the Spider-Verse figures. So yeah, that's a very nice touch. Now, on to my bigger nitpicks. The colors on this suit, well, they don't exactly look bad, but they feel inaccurate. The red seems a bit too, bright for this costume, especially when next to the blue, which is a lot darker. I don't hate it, but it feels a little inaccurate, and for the head, they used a much thinner silver paint, which on paper seems like a good idea, but it just makes the webbing barely stand out compared to the torso. And they used the same size of a silver paint on the hands with, the same amount of really small detail, and that looked fine, so I don't really know why they went with this. After I'm, done with this review, I might try to actually do some custom paint work to, fill the head webs in better, But other than that, other than those two minor nitpicks, I'm really happy with how this guy looks. He looks fantastic. Now, moving on to articulation, and well, this guy has the type of articulation we've come to expect from most Marvel Legends Spider-Man. His head is on a dumbbell joint, which lets him look up this far and down this far. Not too great. You know, I probably would have preferred a disc hinge, but a diaphragm joint does allow for tilt side to side, although admittedly there isn't much here, but he at least gets turning all the way around. Now, he's got butterfly joints with some pretty good forward and back. He also has arms that can hinge up above 90 degrees, which is very nice, and spin all the way around. He's got bicep swivel with a 180 degree turning, and double jointed elbows with a very good bend. You know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And of course, his wrists can swivel and hinge up and down. Now, his torso has a diaphragm joint and a waist crunch. Using both, he can arch forward this far, which is very nice, and arch backwards this far, which is fantastic. The diaphragm also allows for twist and tilt side to side. He has standard Marvel Legends hips, although they do have a drop-down joint, which allows for this much of split. It doesn't really help with the splitting exactly, but it does allow for a slightly higher kick, a little, like a tiny, more so just around 90 degrees. He does have a thigh cut, which allows for 180 degree turning, double jointed knees, and ankles that can hinge backwards, forwards, and pivot side to side. So yeah, it's a little lacking in the leg range, but other than that, this guy is very, very well articulated, which is what we've come to expect from Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures. Now, moving on to the figure comparisons, and we have to start out with the standard male and female comparisons for this series, the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and Spinneret. I think the red used on Renew Your Vows Spidey actually would have worked maybe a bit better than the red used on this guy, you know, especially since we can see how similar their blues are. For another No Way Home Spider-Man comparison, here he is with Tom Holland in his final swing suit. Now, Tobey does seem a bit short, but him and Tom are actually pretty similar in height. Tom being 5'6.5", and Tobey being around 5'8". So, I mean, the figure should be a bit taller, but there isn't that much of a difference in height. For two characters he faced, but faced again in No Way Home, well, not J. Jonah Jameson, here we have the No Way Home Sandman and J. Jonah Jameson. For two of Tobey's villains from Toy Biz, though, here we have the Toy Biz versions of Green Goblin, played by Willem Dafoe, and Dr. Octopus, played by Alfred Molina. I do really wish I had the mask for that Toy Biz Green Goblin. Also, here he is with the Legends comic Venom, since I definitely don't plan on getting the old Hasbro version of the Spider-Man 3 Venom. For a villain Tobey was going to face but never got the chance to, here's the Marvel Legends Vulture from the Ultimate Spider-Man 2-pack. For two other live-action Marvel movie heroes before the MCU, here we have Mr. Fantastic and Ghost Rider. Honestly, these guys all look not half bad with each other. And the best part is, these are all really great figures. Ghost Rider even has a cool light-up feature. Less good, though, is the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Ben Affleck Daredevil. This guy definitely didn't belong in the superposable Legends line. But as is tradition, here's the Marvel Legends No Way Home Tobey Maguire Spider-Man with Hit Monkey and Goliath. Now, moving on to the accessories, I'd like to preface this by saying this guy originally came in a 3-pack with Tom and Andrew's versions of Spider-Man. Albeit, this guy has slightly different accessories. What is the new one he comes with? This great unmasked Tobey Maguire head. In fact, this is the head that the figure came packaged with in the box, so I have a bit of a wild guess that this is the main selling point of this release. In terms of hands, he came with an alternate wall-crawling left hand and a fist. and a pair of web shooting hands. Yeah, he's only got one fist and one wall crawling hand, which is a little dumb. That's one of the big differences between this and the 3-pack version. That came with another fist hand and another wall crawling hand. But let's be honest, that 3-pack was incredibly overpriced, and most people only wanted 2 of the 3 figures in there. Honestly though, even if they were gonna give us only 2 alternate hands, I would have they rather given us 1 fist, 1 web shooting, and then 2 wall crawling hands. That was how the Ultimate Spider-Man vs. Vulture 2-pack handled it, and I think that's the best way to handle it. Now, don't take my complaints as me disliking this figure. I do really like it and think it's a pretty good representation of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man costume. I just think it could have been a bit better with some minor changes, like, for example, using the thicker silver outlines on the mask and maybe swapping one of the web shooter hands with another wall crawling hand. But still, like I said, I like this figure. Now, in terms of the price, it originally retailed for $25, but it's a Spider-Man figure, so it's sold out very quickly and has become a bit more expensive on the aftermarket. Thankfully, not as much as other figures, only around $30. Now, I will say, that's a bit much for this figure, but I'd still say it's better than spending around $50 on one of the old Toy Biz versions of this guy. So, it may not be a pretty price, but it's one of the better prices you can get this guy for. Now, to close up my thoughts, I like this figure. It's a good figure. It's got great articulation, a really good sculpt, and a great alternate head with some good Tobey Maguire likeness. But it's also got its flaws. The red's a bit bright, the silver on the head ain't as pronounced as it should be, and the accessories are slightly lacking. But if you can find this guy for below $30, or, you're okay with stomaching that price for him, I'd say he's worth it. After all, I don't really see them making another Tobey Maguire Spider-Man since, well, they already made 2 for this movie. And they haven't even finished the villains for this movie yet, so I wouldn't hold your tongue for a Tobey Maguire Spidey re-release. Overall, similar to Sandman, I'd give this Spidey an 8 out of 10. He's good, but he'd need a bit of work to be truly amazing. Wait, no, that's a different Spider-Man. Well, I'm done for tonight, so have a far too early Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Bye-bye.